When it's raining cats and dogs, you have to be careful not to step in a poodle. I love dogs and I wish I had a dog, but my parents say they're too much work. Honestly, I think I've almost changed my mom's mind. My dad's too hard to convince. If we got a dog, it would probably be a poodle or some kind of poodle mix, like a golden doodle, or a labradoodle, or a Weimerdoodle. That's because poodles don't shed, and most poodle mixes also don't shed. But why don't they shed, and how did they get their curly hair? Dogs evolved from wolves. The story goes, long ago, wolves and humans started hanging out together. The wolves would have realized that humans don't see wolves as food, so they decided to get closer to the humans' fire to stay warm at night. The humans probably started giving the wolves scraps to eat, which kept them coming back. This would be good for the humans because having a bunch of wolves as your friends would be pretty good protection from other animals. From there, humans and wolves probably started hunting together. All of that changed how the wolves lived their lives, which would cause changes in the baby animals that were born. First of all, the original wolves probably would have been a little scared of humans, even though they were starting to be friends. The baby wolves that were born around humans, though, never knew life without them, so they trusted the humans from the day they were born. Also, the humans would have paid more attention to the friendlier wolves, which when they had babies would make more friendly wolves. For some reason with animals like this, being born friendly changes how they look. Their ears get floppier, their fur color changes, and their tails change. In the 1950s, Russian scientists experimented with silver foxes to see if they could make friendly foxes. Foxes and wolves are not the same animal, but they're both in the canine family. They picked 130 foxes that didn't seem afraid of humans. If a fox hid, ran away, or tried to bite, they didn't pick that fox. They kept those 130 foxes on a farm, and those foxes had babies. By the way, fox babies are called pups. The people on the farm would hand feed the pups and try to pet them. Then they'd pick the tamest 10% of those pups to be the ones to grow up and have more pups. With the second set of pups, they repeated the whole process. Oh, and they didn't treat those foxes the way you treat a pet. They kept them in cages and away from humans most of the day. Eventually, they had animals that acted kind of like dogs. They whimpered and they whined, and they were happy to see humans. And some would even answer to their name. But they didn't just change how they acted. They started looking different. Their fur colors changed. They got floppy ears, and they started to bark. They kept raising tamed foxes, and some are still on the farm today. But they ran out of money, so they've been selling some as pets. But should you have a fox as a pet? What does the fox say?
What does the fox say?
He says, I'm gonna tear up your living room and pee all over the house. Just because they made the fear of humans go away doesn't mean they got rid of the other wild stuff. They're definitely not dogs. The experiment's only been going on about 70 years. Dogs have been evolving for tens of thousands of years. And in those years, people have been picking out certain things they like about those dogs and using those dogs to make more dogs just like them. If they wanted big or little dogs, they only let the biggest or littlest dogs have puppies. Same thing with noses and fur colors and ears and everything else. And now we have over 300 breeds of dogs, and some don't look anything like wolves at all. Back to poodles. Where do you think poodles came from? I bet you said France, and if you did, you were wrong. Poodles are from Germany, but the French still claim them, so don't tell the French we said that. Remember that joke I told you? The word poodle comes from a word in northern Germany, Poodle. That word means to puddle or to splash. The French word for poodle is caniche. Most dogs shed, which means they lose their hair as new hair grows in. That's left over from wolves, which shed in spring to have a shorter coat for warmer weather. It's like a natural haircut. Poodles are different from other dogs because their hair doesn't shed. It keeps growing until it's cut like a human's hair. About 500 years ago, somebody noticed some dogs with this difference in their coat, and they started using those dogs to make puppies with the same kind of coat. The advantage of that coat is it acts like a wool sweater in wet weather. It doesn't soak up water like a regular dog's hair. That meant they also didn't stay super wet when they got out of a lake or a river. This was great because poodles were originally used as retrievers. A hunter would shoot a duck out of the sky and the poodle would go after it. If the duck fell in the water, the poodle would swim to the duck and pick it up, just like a Labrador or a Golden Retriever. Also, poodles are fast runners and they're extremely smart. For a while, people stopped using poodles for hunting, but in the last 20 years or so, they're hunting again. Meanwhile, because they're so smart, they were used as circus animals and smaller ones were bred to look for truffles. More recently, even smaller poodles were bred just to be pets. The toy poodles. I still wish I had a dog. Any ideas how I can talk my dad into it? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Bye! Oh, la tele. Cuba donkey face.
Wolves scraps to eat, because it sounded like you said wolves to eat.
Here's a rude wolf.
Pronunciation is important.